Aisha, engrossed in her world of selfies, suddenly heard the cries and the gateman screaming, "Madam, come oh! Your pikin don't follow." Her heart stopped. She rushed to the balcony only to find Zara lying motionless on the ground, 3 stories below. Aisha was known for her beauty and her vibrant presence on social media. She was beautiful, light-skinned, had stunning, well-maintained hair that she often wore in fashionable styles. Her sense of style, a blend of traditional and modern elements, kept her followers glued to her. Aisha was a certified pharmacist, but she resigned from her job with one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in Nigeria to pursue her dream as an influencer and a social media personality. However, behind the scene, Aisha's life was far from perfect. She had an 18-month-old daughter named Zara. Zara was a bundle of joy, with chubby cheeks and a smile that could light up the darkest room. But Aisha, consumed by her online persona, spent little time with her daughter. Instead, she relied heavily on her nanny, Mama Titi, to take care of Zara. Mama Titi was a kind and patient woman who loved Zara as if she were her own. She fed her, bathed her, and played with her while Aisha was busy, taking selfies, posting pictures and videos, chasing likes and comments. Mama Titi often worried about Aisha's neglect, but she kept her thoughts to herself, hoping Aisha would one day realize the importance of her role as a mother. Mama Titi had an amazing relationship with baby Zara. She was very experienced with children, having 4 older kids herself. She was deeply committed to her job and took great care of Zara. On realizing this, Aisha became more relaxed and negligent, abandoning her entire responsibility to the nanny. Mama Titi often found herself not only caring for Zara, but also managing the household chores that Aisha neglected. Aisha's husband, Shegun, was a successful businessman who deeply loved his family. He provided generously for Aisha and Zara, ensuring they had everything they needed. But his work commitments meant he couldn't always be physically present. Despite his busy schedule, Shegun always made time for his daughter and was increasingly concerned about Aisha's growing addiction to social media. He often urged her to be more present and attentive to Zara, but his pleas seemed to fall on deaf ears. Aisha absolutely loved the attention she received on social media. Each like, comment, share gave her a sense of validation and excitement that she found addictive. The constant stream of positive feedback made her feel admired and important, boosting her self-esteem in ways she hadn't experienced before. Social media provided her with instant gratification, a sense of community, and an escape from her daily responsibilities. Before Mama Titi was hired, Aisha had another nanny named Osas. Unfortunately, Osas was just as negligent as Aisha. There were incidents when baby Zara's life had been endangered under both their care. On one occasion, Osas had done laundry and had left the washer open to air dry. Zara, curious and mobile, crawled into the washer without Osas noticing. Minutes later, Osas came back. Distracted by her phone, she tried to close the washer, but it wasn't closing. She tried to see why, only to realize that baby Zara's plastic toy was hanging out the washer. Wondering how the toy got there, she bent to remove it, only to find baby Zara inside the washer, fast asleep. Osas never mentioned it to her madam, of course, and Aisha didn't find out. She never bothered to check the nanny cam or baby monitor which her husband had installed. On another occasion, Zara was particularly fussy, crying incessantly and refusing to be comforted. Aisha, clueless about how to calm her daughter, handed her over to Osas, who was in the kitchen preparing Zara's food. Distracted by the crying baby, she accidentally knocked over a pot of hot water, which spilled onto Zara's leg. The baby screamed in pain, and Osas, panicking, tried to soothe her while Aisha rushed in, horrified by the sight. Zara was taken to the hospital where she was treated for minor burns. The incident left a scar both physically on Zara and emotionally on Aisha. Aisha fired Osas, of course, but she never thought to change her ways or blame herself. Aisha's friends were mostly like her, deeply engrossed in their own social media lives and often oblivious to their real-world responsibilities. However, there was one friend, Halimat, who occasionally expressed concern. Halimat noticed Aisha's growing addiction and Zara's neglect. She gently tried to advise Aisha to spend more time with her daughter. Unfortunately, Aisha often brushed off her friend's concerns, preferring the validation she received online over the well-meaning advice of a friend. Shegun had tried to take measures to minimize Aisha's presence on the social media. One time, he threatened to disconnect the Wi-Fi, but he didn't want to take away his wife's freedom, nor did he want to be seen as a controlling husband. So, he decided to appeal to Aisha's conscience, urging her to be more present with her daughter. He even suggested setting specific times for social media use and also encouraged her to seek hobbies that didn't involve being online. Despite his efforts, Aisha's addiction to social media persisted until the tragic incident with Zara served as a wake-up call. On that fateful morning, Mama Titi had called in sick. She had caught a terrible flu and could barely get out of bed. Aisha, who had never spent a full day alone with Zara, was suddenly thrust into the role of caregiver. She was clueless and overwhelmed, but instead of rising to the occasion, she retreated further into her virtual world. Little Zara toddled around the living room, grabbing whatever her hands could find. Aisha, feeling irritated that she was being distracted from her virtual world, put the baby into her playpen. Zara threw a fit. She didn't want to stay in the pen. She wanted attention. Frustrated, Aisha thought of what to do to calm the baby. Then she remembered that baby Zara loved listening to the bustling sounds coming from the streets. Mama Titi would normally take her out to the balcony to listen to the sounds, and it always helped to calm her. It made her happy. Without thinking, she grabbed Zara's high chair and took it out to the balcony. She placed the baby inside, gave her some snacks and a few of her favorite toys. The sounds seemed to help as baby Zara stopped crying. Relieved, Aisha went back into her living room, back to her virtual world, forgetting to strap the baby in. Mrs. Adeola lived in the building opposite. She often enjoyed her afternoon tea on her balcony and had a clear view of Aisha's apartment. When she saw Aisha place baby Zara into her chair, she thought, for once the woman is finally taking care of her child. Mama Titi would always exchange pleasantries whenever she was out on the balcony, but seeing Aisha with her daughter meant the nanny was not around. Minding her business, she sat down for her tea. Only a few minutes later, she looked up to see baby Zara, grabbing the rail, pushing herself up and out from her chair. Aisha had placed her too close to the edge and had failed to secure the strap. Mrs. Adeola shouted for help. Her cries alerting other neighbors who rushed out to see what was happening. Some of the neighbors started shouting and banging at the gate, trying to alert the gate man. In a split second, Zara teetered over the edge and lost her balance. Aisha, engrossed in her world of selfies, suddenly heard the cries and the gate man screaming, "Madam, come oh! Your pikin don't fall oh!" Her heart stopped. She rushed to the balcony only to find Zara lying motionless on the ground, 3 stories below. Panic and guilt washed over Aisha as she ran down the stairs, her mind racing with fear. Neighbors had already gathered around Zara, and someone had called an ambulance. Aisha, blinded by her tears, cradled her daughter, whose head and face was badly swollen, with blood trickling down from her nostrils. She prayed for Zara to be okay. Shegu was in the middle of an important business meeting when he got the call about Zara's fall. The news hit him like a ton of bricks. He rushed to the hospital, his heart pounding with fear and anger. Seeing Zara lying in intensive care, bandaged and bruised, was a sight that broke his heart. He couldn't understand how Aisha could have been so negligent. In the hospital room, he confronted Aisha, his voice trembling with emotion. Aisha, how could you let this happen? I trusted you to take care of our daughter. His eyes was filled with tears. Aisha, already consumed by guilt and regret, continued to cry. I'm so sorry, Shegun. I never meant for this to happen. I was so caught up in my own world that I lost sight of what truly mattered. Mrs. Adeola was heartbroken after she witnessed Zara's fall. She had always known that Aisha was negligent. She constantly saw her taking selfies on the balcony and hosting friends, while Mama Titi strapped baby Zara at her back and took her along to the market and other errands. Mrs. Adeola decided she could no longer stay silent. She reached out to the Child Protection Unit to report the incident. The Child Protection Unit took the report very seriously. They launched an investigation into Aisha and Shegu's household to assess the safety and well-being of Zara. The investigation revealed the extent of Aisha's negligence and the heavy reliance on Mama Titi for Zara's care. After Zara's discharge, the baby was temporarily placed in the care of a trusted family member. Aisha was mandated to attend parenting classes and undergo counseling to address her addiction to social media and learn proper childcare techniques. Ade also participated in these sessions to support his wife and improve their family dynamic. After 1 year, Zara was returned to her parents, but the family was placed under regular monitoring by social workers to ensure that Aisha was adhering to the guidelines set by the Child Protection Unit and that Zara was receiving proper care. When Mama Titi found out about Zara's fall, she was devastated. She couldn't believe that something so terrible had happened to little Zara. Despite being sick and unable to work that day, Mama Titi felt an overwhelming sense of guilt. She blamed herself for not being there to protect Zara, even though she knew it wasn't her fault. She kept thinking, if only I had been there, this would not have happened. After Zara's return, Mama Titi continued to work as her nanny. She knew that Aisha needed guidance and support to change her ways. I'm here to help you, she said to Aisha. Thank you, Mama Titi. I promise I'll do better for Zara. The traumatic brain injury had a profound impact on Zara's life. She required ongoing medical care, therapy, and special services to support her development. Her family had to adapt to her new needs, ensuring she received the best possible care and support. Zara's fall had a profound impact on Ade and Aisha's relationship. The traumatic event served as a wake-up call, forcing them to reevaluate their priorities and the dynamics of their family life. Initially, the incident created a significant strain between Shegu and Aisha. Shegu was overwhelmed with fear for Zara's well-being and angered towards Aisha for her negligence. Their conversations were filled with tension and blame, as Shegu struggled to understand how Aisha could have let such a tragedy happen. However, as Zara's recovery progressed, Shegu's anger began to subside, replaced by a deep sadness and a desire to support his family. He realized that blaming Aisha wouldn't change the past and that they needed to work together to ensure Zara's future well-being. Both Shegu and Aisha attended counseling sections, individually and as a couple. These sections helped them process their emotions, communicate more effectively, and rebuild trust. Shegu made a conscious effort to be more present at home, balancing his work commitments with family time. This helped alleviate some of the pressure on Aisha and allow them to share responsibilities more equally. The experience brought Shegu and Aisha closer together in the long run. They learned the importance of communication, trust, and being present for each other and their daughter. The key lesson from the story is the importance of being present and attentive in our real life relationships, especially with our children. Neglecting responsibilities for superficial validation, such as social media attention, can lead to severe consequences. True fulfillment and happiness come from the genuine connections and love and care we provide to our loved ones. I hope you enjoyed the story. Thank you so much for listening today. Let me know what you took away from this story and share this video with anyone you think would enjoy it. Give us a like, it helps our channel to grow, and subscribe if you haven't.